someday you might see it. Yeah, never say die. Got to go.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to more Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Subscriber Dynasty Series. It's time to talk about my first ever Gravekeeper deck. That's right, the Gravekeepers have appeared in the show, and it's all thanks to the Gravekeeper's chief, opponent that Jaden had to duel in a whole nother time zone, a whole nother universe, a timeline, not time zone, that's so dumb, a whole nother universe, and it was a pretty interesting duel overall, and the Gravekeepers are extremely interesting monsters that are used to this day, I believe. I think people still like to use Gravekeepers, or at least Gravekeeper cards. So, looking into the Gravekeeper deck, there were a lot of cards that were used in the show that are really good, and a lot of cards that were missed out. So, as you could see, anybody that immediately looked at the Gravekeepers deck, there is no Commandant. There is no Commandant. They did not use it. Gravekeeper's Chief did not use it. It was really sad. So we're going to have to get into the cards they did use. Now, the rarest cards in a Gravekeeper deck easily is Necro Valley and Royal Tribute. So Necro Valley, what it does is basically your opponent's graveyard, no. Well, your graveyard as well. No. No. No touching your graveyard. Bad. And your graveyard can't get banished either. Alright, and it buffs all your all your Gravekeepers by 500 attack and defense. An extremely strong buff, but they are pretty weak monsters, so they do need that buff. And you have Royal Tribute. If you control Necro Valley, both players discard any monsters in their hands. This card is hilarious. This card, if you start the duel with Necro Valley and Royal Tribute, your opponent starts with no monsters. It's super funny. And honestly, I can't wait to see it. But let's go ahead and get on to the Gravekeeper's Chief's freaking deck. Now, the attack stat of Gravekeeper's Chief is all reliant on Necro Valley, because otherwise it's not good. Curse, Watcher, Guard, Spy, all of those are very bad in attack. Cannon Holder, Spear Soldier, Assailant, all of those are below average in attack but usable. And Chief is the boss monster at 1900 attack and is a tribute monster. If it wasn't a tribute monster, this card would be considered pretty good in terms of attack, but it's a tribute monster. This deck, in terms of attack stat, is ass. But with Necro Valley, that's a 500 point buff. That's an extremely large buff, making all of these monsters actually pretty decent. Cannon Soldier, Spear Soldier, Assailant, and Chief. But it's just too... Oh, did I never sort this deck? That's weird. I like to sort. Hold up. Yeah, there we go. But I'm afraid that's it. That's the potential it could have. Overall, the average attack of this deck is ass. In fact, it's so bad, I'm going to give them 2 bars. 2 bars, because your boss monster has 1900 attack with a potential of 24. When your potential is 24, you know you're in trouble. And the only reason you're getting 2 bars is because you don't run a bunch of weak monsters. Curse is the only one below 1000. At least the rest of these monsters hit 1000. And there's plenty of people in this series with monsters with 0 attack, 800 attack, 700 attack. So the fact that you at least don't have too many monsters below 1000 attack, your average was not destroyed, you are only going to get 2 bars still. Your attack stat is ass. So Gravekeeper's Chief, not the best in attack. Actually, not even, it's close to the worst in attack. But getting into defense stat, that's where I can be a little more positive, because guess what? Gravekeeper's Spy, 2,000. 2,000 defense. Gravekeeper's Guard, 1,900. 1,900. Look, some of the people's best defense stats in this game are 18. So 19 and 2,000, having all of those, that's freaking amazing. 15 on Assailant, usable. Not too good, not too good, not too good, not too good. And Gravekeeper's Chief, not too good. But because of these monsters, and I'll even give Assailant in there, because of these monsters saving the day, because there is a 2,000 bumping up that average way higher than the attack at least, I can actually say this deck is average. This is a 4-bar defense deck. Now, the only reason it's not higher, because you would think 2,000 would blow the average above blow it to above average, is because there is just too many monsters that don't even get close to that. And your one tribute monster, your one boss monster, is 1,200 defense. It's not going to help you. Average defense of this deck is pretty bad, except for Gravekeeper, Spy, and Guard. These save the day. These make the deck actually usable. In fact, this make the deck actually pretty safe too. So now we're going to need to get into the speed stat of Gravekeeper Chief's deck. And that's where things get a little bit interesting, because Rite of Spirit is basically a Call of the Haunted that isn't attached. That's really nice. A trap card that actually special summons a monster. And it's only Gravekeepers, but guess what? That's all you run, so you're fine. It special summons a Gravekeeper, and there's triple. So that's triple Call of the Haunted. Amazing. You have Gravekeeper's Spy. Amazing. This is a floater. It special summons a Gravekeeper monster with 1500 or less attack, which is all of them. All of them are 1500 or less attack except for Chief. But that's all of them. So this Spy makes it super easy to summon Chief, not just for the defense stat, but for the special summoning. This deck, when it comes to search, is actually pretty nice. In fact, Hero Growth, this is funny, increases your hand size to 7. I don't know why that's important to them, but they can. Other than that, though, it's just the triple special summon and the triple special summon. That's not bad. Oh, wait, and Gravekeeper's Chief is also a special summon. When you tribute summon this monster, you get to special summon a Gravekeeper from your deck. Triple special summon, triple special summon, triple special summon. That is speed. In my opinion, that is fast. Not too much search. I mean, this is technically search, but not too much search. It's just special summons from the grave. This one's special summon from the deck, so that's actually higher search. This is going to bump it up a bit. It's actually pretty damn good. I'm going to have to give it to them. This is pretty good. I'm going to give them a lot. This is going to be above average. In terms of speed, this is going to be a 5. 5 bars. Simply because Spy has one of the best searches in this kind of a deck where you could get whatever you want. Chief has a really good search, and Rite of Spirit is a really good search. Yeah, overall, above average. I got nothing bad to say. This is nice. This is really nice. We're going to go ahead and get into the skill stat, and the skill stat is affected here. The reason the skill stat is affected is you got discard cards, you got Royal Tribute that stops your opponent from it's anti-search, which is anti-skill, so there you go. You got the Gravekeeper's Watcher, which is anti-draw, which is funny. You got Gravekeeper's Retribution, or Grave Robber's Retribution, which is only 100 points of damage for each remove from play card, but every standby phase. Problem, not very many people do remove from play cards, but they own it, so there you go. Piercing damage, that affects the skill stat. Gravekeeper Spear Soldier does do piercing damage. Gravekeeper Assailant can change them from a defense mode into attack mode. I can count that as skill because even though it's not piercing damage, it's it's like direct damage basically. You're changing the attack. Cannon Holder is burn. 100% burn. Cannon Holder does 700 burn if you tribute a Gravekeeper monster, but you can't tribute itself. Yeah, you can't even tribute another Gravekeeper's Cannon Holder. You only contribute the rest of these, but that's burn. And Gravekeeper's Curse, that's burn. You just summon this monster, 500 damage. Summon it from the grave, 500 damage. Summon it from the grave, 500 damage. Summon it from the deck, 500 damage. 500, 500, 500, 500. Gravekeeper's Curse, Cannon Holder, Spear Soldier, a little bit of Assailant. Royal Tribute, I'm not going to take that. Retribution, there's a lot of skill in this deck. In fact, you probably can finish a duel with your skill. This deck has enough potential to finish a duel. Thanks to the piercing with Necro Valley, thanks to Curse with the 500, continuous 500 with all these special summons, thanks to Cannon Holder with 700 burn, you can win a deck with burn in this duel. Sorry, in this freaking tournament. So honestly, I got to give them 5. This is a 5 stat in skill. There's enough burn here to win a duel. Especially with the amount of special summons you have, especially with the amount of burn it does. 500 is solid, 700 is really good, piercing is really good, especially when you have 2000 attack. Yeah, this deck can win by skill. This deck can totally win by skill. Overall. So looking at things, this deck has actually been pretty effective. And when it comes to the brick stat, looking at this deck, dead cards would be Dark Designator, 2 higher risks, that could be considered brick. You don't want to, this card you could technically play, but you don't want to play 2, so that could be considered brick. Not brick, Gravekeeper's Retribution I would consider to be a brick card because it almost will never come in handy. Royal Tribute, you need Necro Valley, that's kind of since it's a combo card where you need another card to use it, that could be considered bricky. Gravekeeper's Chief, you know what, it's a single tribute, I'm going to give it a break, it's not going to be that bricky. Overall, because of these weird cards, the combo cards, Dark Designator is always going to be considered bricky to me. Gravekeeper's Retribution, there are some bricks in here. I'm going to give it a 6 bar, rarely bricks. This deck rarely bricks. It can brick. You can definitely brick with this deck. Most of the time, you're just going to draw a monster, you're going to be fine. But some of these cards, if you top deck them, if you top deck Hieroglyph, if you top deck Gravekeeper's Retribution, Royal Tribute, when you don't have Necro Valley, you need another card to make that work. Yeah, you could brick. You could definitely brick. but it's very rare. So overall, the Gravekeeper's Chief is actually a pretty interesting character. I think that they're going to be a very effective member in this tournament. And in fact, I'm going to say it, this deck can actually win the tournament. Despite its low attack, I honestly think this deck has a chance of winning the tournament because it has that burn, because it has an easy special summon, because Necro Valley does counter a lot of decks. Necro Valley can turn off some decks in this series. Watcher can turn off Damon, basically, which is really funny. This deck actually does counter some people, and the high defense points makes it so you almost always will get Gravekeeper's Chief. You could stall long enough to get Necro Valley. This deck can win the tournament. In fact, I'm going to be very generous and say this deck has a 3-star potential. This deck can totally do it. Gravekeepers, even without the Commandant, can totally win the tournament. It's just very effective. They all work really well together. Royal Tribute shuts people down completely. It's super funny when you see it happen. It's gonna be a good deck. Everyone, test this deck immediately. In my Discord chat, you need to play this deck for fun. It's super fun. It's actually pretty effective. This deck can actually win the tournament. Granted, its low attack power is going to be a problem, but if you get Necro Valley, keep it on the field. You'll be fine. You can make it work. But overall, the Gravekeeper's Chief can win the tournament. 3 stars. Easily. This deck can do it. A little generous, but easily. Alright guys, that's going to be it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.